Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we praise and celebrate and hold in the light significant individuals who are truly making differences in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful for this opportunity, and we want to thank Wilkes Communications, River Street Productions, and WIFM for being our significant sponsors. Our featured guest today is Gary Blevins. Gary Blevins is the Wilkes County Commissioner. He's a person of tremendous vision and compassion for our community. He's a public servant. He also is a business owner here in our community. And as we spoke earlier, he says, I'm a daily learner. Every day is an opportunity to be better. And that's the person I want to be. And Gary Blevins, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate the kind words.
You are a public servant, and the experience I've had with you. Share with us, what is a public servant?
The vision I have of being a public servant is that after an election is over and the dust settles, I guess you'd say, it's time to get down to the business of doing what's best for the community as a whole. That means, especially at the local level, putting the politics aside and trying to use reason and common sense to create solutions for problems that come up in the community and make the community better for as many people as possible. That way you're serving the public, you're not serving any special interests, and people view you as being objective and fair and respectful of their beliefs. So I think those are some of the elements that I've discovered over the years that give you the potential to be a solid public servant.
Gary Blevins, you've been involved in elected offices since 2003. You said Mike Enscore was a significant influence. Will you give us a little insight into that relationship?
Yeah, well, I'd moved into, I lived in McGrady for many years and had enjoyed that lifestyle, but moved into town, into Wilkesboro proper in about 2000. And I was, after I'd been in town for a little while, became a member of the planning board and began to see how the local government worked. And at that point, I just felt like that I had something that I could contribute with the encouragement of not only Mike Enscore, but my very good friend, Tommy Bumgarner, who's actually passed away while he was serving in office. But Tommy was a good friend and a real solid resident of Wilkesboro. And those guys, they wanted to do what was right for Wilkesboro. And Mike's a great mayor. He's well-spoken and does a great job representing Wilkesboro. And also Robert Johnson, the mayor in North Wilkesboro. Tremendous amount of energy. Just a fantastic guy. And so they inspired me, and I ran for office and was fortunate enough to get enough votes to get elected and served for 4 years and enjoyed my time there. Town races are nonpartisan, so you can just kind of go in there and, again, like we talked about, do what's best for the most people and create a better environment locally for business and for your taxpayers and for especially the elderly and young kids, who I think it's important that the government protect those that can't protect themselves. I think it's a very important element of what we do, and I've always advocated for that, especially as I'm getting older myself.
Gary Blevins, the form of government, you have 5 commissioners, you have a town manager, you have a town attorney, you have a clerk. Just kind of Give our folks an idea of how this thing works, if you will.
Well, we're all elected at large, so everyone in the county, all the different precincts vote for whatever number of county commissioners are up for election that year. And every 2 years, there's an election, a general election. During one cycle of elections, there are 2 commissioners up for re-election for a 4-year term, and then in the subsequent election 2 years later, there are 3 commissioners up for election. It happened to be that when I was in that election cycle that it was the 3 commissioner race, and I was elected the first time with Keith Elmore, who's our longest serving commissioner, and Commissioner Sink, who's no longer a commissioner but served a long time and was probably one of the most informed commissioners that we've ever had.
Prepared?
Most prepared that we've ever had. Yeah, Charlie really knew a lot about county government.
Who's your, let's share your manager. You're a wonderful person.
John Yates, he and his wife, I think they have 2 kids. I think they're high school aged. Just a great guy. He and I actually started at the same time. He was hired to take Gary Page's place as county manager the same year that I got elected. So we've kind of grown up together in the positions and have become close friends and team members working together. John's a great guy. He's got great family values, a good Christian. His sons are doing very well in school, and he just is a great role model for the rest of the county employees. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the other staff members. Sarah Call, whose husband Sam works for the town of Wilkesboro. She is absolutely a professional. As far as I'm concerned, she's got to be one of the best clerks.
She's a clerk?
She's got to be one of the best clerks in the state.
Good.
And we've got our attorney.
Yep.
It's vital that with as many legal issues that has come up at the county level, that you have an attorney that has a solid background in law that's related specifically to county government. And there's no question in my mind that Tony Triplett has to be one of the brightest and best informed attorneys in the state when it comes to county laws. And really, without him, it would be very difficult to maintain the kind of integrity we do at the county level in terms of making sure that we follow all the rules and regulations that are set down by the state.
Yeah. Commissioner Blevins, also share your family with us and your business, and just a little bit about where you live and how long you've been here, some of those things.
Well, I'm a Wilkes County native. I moved away when I was young. My father was employed at General Motors outside of Detroit, so I grew up in a suburb of Detroit and moved back here in my 20s and actually lived near my grandparents up in McGrady for a number of years. I have 2 children, a daughter and a son. My daughter's 34. My son is 27 or 28. I can never keep up. I have 1 grandchild. Both my kids, thankfully, and I'm grateful for it, are college graduates. My daughter went to UNC Greensboro, got a BS degree in textiles, and my son graduated from Appalachian with a BA in English and political science. And so I'm proud of the kids. They're doing well. My daughter lives at Wrightsville Beach, which is nice to go visit. Mm-hmm. And my son lives in New York City.
Good.
For what reason, I don't know, but...
You have basic leadership values and philosophies, and you spoke about as a public servant, to concentrate on family values, being aware of how we're doing things in that arena. Commissioner Blevins, share that with me, if you will.
Well, we had a board meeting yesterday, and John Blevins, who's our director over at DSS, gives us a report every month. And we've got, we've got I wouldn't say it's a crisis because you hear that word used so much, and it's, frankly, it's overused. But, we have a situation in the county where we have well over 200 children in foster care.
200.
Over 200.
Over
And,
200.
which is probably the largest number we've ever had. But it's like that everywhere. I mean, it's not just an issue that's specific to Wilkes County. But, there's just a basic breakdown of people of parents taking responsibility for their children. And then the responsibility goes back to the grandparents. Well, as a grandparent, it's fun to have the kids over, but then they go home to their parents, and to be thrown into a situation where you're taking care of them full time is very difficult. So we want to encourage families to be responsible. We want to encourage adults to be responsible for themselves and not expect someone else to take care of them or to take over their responsibilities. To me, that's family values. I have 3 siblings. We all stay in touch with one another. There's no love like family love. There's something about
Sure.
it and if you have that, it enriches your life and it makes you a better person. And I think in being a better person, you have the ability to be a better citizen. And there are a lot of people in Wilkes County, a lot of families that still carry on the traditions that are important. Yeah. And so, there's a lot more of that than there is the bad.
You wanted to make sure that we key the elderly and the importance of being aware of the needs of the elderly. Commissioner Blevins, speak to that if you will.
I will, and it is. It's very important. I think I've become more aware of the needs of individual demographic groups in society as a commissioner, and also having served as the chairman of our Council of Governments. We have a regional Council of Governments that's based in Boone, in Watauga, called the High Country Council of Governments. It's got a long history of service to the region, and it basically serves 3 areas: planning in the counties and in the towns, workforce development, and senior services. A lot of the funding for our senior center in Fairplains comes through a block grant that's administered by the Council of Governments. So they have a large staff of individuals who try to create better living conditions in nursing homes, and they aid people to be able to stay home and not have to go into an institutionalized setting. It's not only good for those people and their families, it's also good for society because it keeps the cost of care at a lower level. And so there's multiple benefits of it. And this is where government plays an important role in society. I guess I came into government as a private business person, kind of thinking that I would step into that role as a county commissioner or town councilman, whatever, and try to run the system like a business. But I quickly learned that government is not a business. Government has got to be empathetic to the needs of citizens and not just be driven by profit and efficiency. So I've had to really adjust my thinking and learn to accept that there's certain things that we have to fund that are not profitable, that don't seem highly efficient, but that are absolutely necessary for our society to be civilized, basically.
Yeah. We must deal with diversity, equality, and respect for all the people you were telling me earlier.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the basic building blocks of leadership. And, we were talking about early on, I spent a lot of time learning the nuts and bolts of what it takes to be a commissioner and make the right decisions for the county. I think now it's a matter of evolving from being a nuts and bolts kind of pragmatic commissioner that's just always trying to make good decisions about what we do, and try to step up and be more of a leader of the community. And instead of just focusing on solving problems day to day, try to be more of an inspiration to the county employees and to the staff, and also to people in the community.
Wow.
Because that's where the problems are going to get solved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the government to oversee, if you will. And we have commissioners, and
Yeah.
how often do you meet? Where
Yeah.
do you meet? The planning that goes into a
Sure.
commissioner meeting. Commissioner Blevins, share with us.
Right. Well, first of all, I'd like to recognize the other commissioners and briefly. Our chairman this year is Greg Minton. This is his first term. He's leads one of the departments at the college. Keith Elmore,
Okay.
Commissioner Elmore from down in Roaring River. He's our longest serving commissioner. He's in his 4th term. And, we were chatting a little earlier about the dynamics of being a commissioner. And over the years, people sometimes are upset with your decisions, and you either rally people around you that believe in you, or you're an ex-commissioner, basically, I guess. And that's good, because the people should decide who runs, helps run their local government. So, and Keith is a long-serving commissioner, and I commend him for that.
Yeah.
And then David Gamble, who was with the Sheriff's Department. And I teased David when he first got elected. I thought he was very young to be running for county commissioner. I think he was in his 30s. And he's a young-looking guy anyway.
Yeah.
But I tell you, he's as solid as a rock. He's got, when David Gamble tells you something, you know that you can count on it. And that's a very commendable thing for a person in this world. So, and then Eddie Settle, who's from very down east, close to the county line, and a big advocate for the eastern part of the county, and I admire him for that. The dynamics of Wilkes County are such that the eastern end of the county, just by pure geography, has a tendency to be more involved, I think, in things in Elkin to some degree, and around East High. And 268, and Eddie and I have talked about this, 268 is just one of the highways in our county that needs to be fixed. It needs to be improved. It's in poor shape, it's not safe, and it needs to be fixed all the way from North Wilkesboro to Elkin, and I hope it is at some point in the future. We sure support that project. Eddie's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's got tremendous values. I think he's a middle school football coach. He's great to work with. So right now, when I sit on the board and look back and forth and I see who we have on the board, I'm proud. I'm proud to be on the board with the guys. And we meet twice a month. We meet, our first meeting of the month is at 10 in the morning, and it's always the first and third Tuesday of the month when we meet. Our first meeting is at 10 o'clock in the morning. It typically involves a lot of administrative staff information because the staff's there. Our second meeting of the month is at 7 o'clock at night. We invite the public to come. They're invited to make comments before the meeting. And that's the time when we do more community-based decision making.
Okay. Tell us about the planning that goes into the agenda and the 10 days before, and how that transpired.
Right.
I just think that's wonderful.
Yeah, Gary, by statute, the agenda has to come out, and I can't remember. I know it's at least a week before the meeting. So we have to meet the week before, and now the chairman, one of the roles of the chairman on the board is to set the agenda, and that's set down, I believe, in statute. So Chairman Minton and I meet with the county attorney and the manager. We go over all the list of issues that we have, And then the chairman decides which ones need to be put on the agenda. And by consensus, I mean, it's not a role that he takes on himself without consulting with the other commissioners. But he does have the final say on the printed agenda. Now, an item could be added by a vote of the commissioners at the meeting, so it's not set in stone. And it gives us a chance to get legal advice and make sure that everything that we put on the agenda is in proper order. And even when you do that, still there are things that come up that may cause you to postpone an item, table it. It's just constantly evolving.
And the budget must be decided for the year by the last day of June. Is that the way it goes?
That's correct. The fiscal year in the state runs from the 1st of July until the end of June in the following year. So we've just been through that budget process. And of course, I've met a lot of commissioners in North Carolina being active in the the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. We have over 600 members.
Yes.
And there's some fine commissioners in North Carolina. I've met some wonderful people there. But generally, that's the time of year when you are the most troubled.
Yes.
And you have the most difficult decisions to make about budgeting and what's your priorities and who needs money the most and how much money do you have. Now, our manager does most of that with the initial proposed budget. So he and our finance director go through the budget and create a proposed budget for us, and then we simply go in and make final decisions that can only be made by the county commissioners.
Yes.
Yeah, because we are the elected body.
Okay, Commissioner Blevins, we talked about funding needs. There are three, that most of the money goes into three groups. You want to cover that for me?
Well, we've got public safety,
Yep.
and of course, number one is the public school system, and the community college, Department of Social Services. Those are four big areas that get a substantial amount of our funding, and a lot of that, I guess you'd say, is almost programmed in, so that a significant portion of the budget is not discretionary.
Yes.
It's mandatory.
Right.
And most of that is because the state demands that we do certain things. This past year, we had an emphasis on trying to find a way to supplement funding to the public school system.
Yes.
We felt like there was a slight deficit. It wasn't substantial, but there was a slight deficit, and we felt like we needed to kind of pull in a little bit from some other areas to make sure that we funded the public school system in a fair manner. And by and large, I think we have, and I think if you talk to the members of the school board and the administration at the school system, they would tell you that we have a very solid working relationship with the board. And to that point, I just want to add, a lot of times people ask, well, if you're giving them so much money, why don't you have more input into how it's spent or what's done with it? My feeling is that the school system has a 5-member board that's duly elected, just like we are. They are responsible to the taxpayers, just like we are. So they are experts in that field, and I just feel like that we need to have a hands-off approach and let the school board make decisions.
You said to me earlier that we trust our schools.
We
Maybe
do.
You trust the superintendent, president of the college. Just touch on that a moment.
We do. They've proven themselves. I know we've got a new school superintendent. Mark is doing a fabulous job.
Yep.
He's a homegrown superintendent. He understands, and I've had discussions now with three superintendents in my tenure as a commissioner. And I've always told them that, in my humble opinion, I thought that as much money as possible needed to be directed into the classroom, to the actual benefit of the student, as opposed to having too much hierarchy that I felt took away from the resources that should go into the classroom. And I think Mark really buys into that. I think that he really buys into that concept of trying to get as much resources as we can to the teacher, to the teacher's aide, and to the classroom.
And Dr. Jeff Cox at the college, you have trustees, how many, 24?
It's a fairly large board.
Is.
Yeah, I know we are responsible.
School board,
we're only responsible for 4 of the trustees at the college. I know the governor has appointments. Other counties that are involved have appointments. The school board has appointments.
Yes.
So it's a diverse board, and we've probably got one of the best community colleges in the state. It's a tremendous facility. But again, our funding goes to maintaining the facility and some of the staff needs. We as a county have limited funds to do that, so we always are in conversations with the school and with their tremendous fundraising capacity that they don't build or create things that the county can't afford to maintain.
The role of agriculture is so significant here in the county. Speak to that.
It's one of the largest industries in the county, if not the largest. If you combine the timber and the poultry and the other various animal products and agricultural products, it really plays a huge role in the prosperity that we have in Wilkes County. And we've tried to address the significance of agriculture with our agriculture center, which we were fortunate to get involved in a real estate project with the community college and purchased a significant portion of the old First Union property. And we took basically a very prime tract that was just not marketable, especially following the recession, and we've breathed new life into it.
You know, it's
both public and private sector. We have both elements there, and it's a beautiful place, and we're proud of that. And I have to credit Eddie Fettle for coming on the board and helping me with that, creating that vision of having an ag center, and it's done very well, and I think it's something we can be proud of, and it signals that we care about agriculture as a county board.
You've also been involved in building the jail, and we've talked about the Yadkin River intake, but I want you to end with, you said you just returned from the council and government doing training, and you said I came back with DWYS, YWD. Tell us about, end with that, if you will, Commissioner Blevins.
Well, the North Carolina and the university system has, at UNC, has one of the best schools of government in the United States, especially local government. So I've had the opportunity, and I'm thankful to the other board members and the county for supporting me and being able to go down there and continue my education, both in learning the nuts and bolts of county government, as well as learning what it takes to be a leader in the community. And I've just come back from my third class seminar on what is called the Advanced Leadership Corps in North Carolina. And it is county and municipal officials coming together and learning about themselves and each other and what it takes. What are the elements? I mean, just like anything else, there are key elements that really define leadership, and they've been identified. And I think they were identified first in business, and now that's been kind of translated into government. So you learn about respect. You learn to listen. I've been teased a lot about, Gary, you need to listen more, and I've really taken that on as a challenge. But the thing you mentioned earlier about the arm bracelets that they had given us.
Doing what you say you're going to do.
Do what you say you're going to do. I was sitting with Eddie Fettle yesterday, and I said, Eddie, I got this armband down there, and it said, you know, do what you say you're going to do. And he looked across the table and he said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, it's all about us coming down here and respecting each other and doing what we say we're going to do.
Respecting every person in this county.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. Do what you say you said you would do.
Yeah.
And if you do that, I think people see you as a leader.
Yeah. Commissioner
that's a
Gary
tremendous,
Blevins has been our guest today, and we want to thank Wilkes Communications and River Street and WIFM. And you are a public servant, and I'm grateful that you would be here with us. And I know that you're selfless, that you're grateful, and what a blessing to have you. God bless you.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. It's an honor to be a county commissioner,
Come again.
I'm certainly proud to be a Wilkes County citizen.